deep person, but we're never allowed to be that because we're always told to, you can't show your emotion, you got to be strong, you cry, that's all BS. Because, and I lived that for so many years until I went, no. My dad's 80. I've not heard I love you. I tell my kids every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans, and we are back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. Thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to announce this guest, and as you see where we're at in the location, you know what that means. We have our special guest, Dwight, with us, and not only do we have Dwight, we have another CEO, entrepreneur of Inspired Title. Drew, thank you so much for joining. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
But just give us a little warm introduction. I know that you own your own title company, so we're excited to kind of see where you're at.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So I do. I own Inspired Title. I've been doing this Inspired Title started in 2019, but I've been in this industry, I don't know, since I've been 4, I feel like. You know, my dad's an attorney. He's 80 years old. He's finally retiring. So he was an attorney that also owned a title company, and I worked with him. So my background comes from the financial markets. I used to do help people set up broker dealers. I used to help arbitrate for these broker dealers when the SEC would come in and start kind of pounding on them. So I was arbitrator for them. And then 2004.
So you're the original Wolf of Wall Street, is what you're saying?
Something like that.
Chick stuck me. I'm not gonna lie. It was tough being me. And I mean, 2005, 2006 came along, and it started getting crazy. And I looked at my partner, and I'm going, I know how this plays out. I'm the highest paid guy in the building except for you, right? So I'm on the chopping block because market's going to hell. And he kind of nodded his head. I'm like, I'm going to make this simple. I said, I love you. Let's just move on. I have some other thoughts and other ideas. So I had moved away to, from that. And my dad had let me know that his partner was kind of ailing of cancer. And, hey, while you're kind of bouncing around, could you give me a hand? Sure. I stepped into this and I went, oh, okay, well, this isn't fast paced. This is, this is title. Like, okay, now what do we do? Like today, and the day was just dragging. And I said, okay, I got to do something that makes this fun.
Yeah.
And I started to, we started doing a lot of the flips, and we started doing a lot of the rehabs, and I'm watching all these investors come in, and they're looking for hard money lenders, and they're going through this whole process. And so we were finding these hard money lenders, and I started then saying, these hard money lenders are making 15, 17, 18%. I went, I could do that. That's easy. So I started lending these guys money. And as I would cash out on these deals, I started saving this money, building up this bigger pool to lend. And then I went, wait a minute. I have a construction background because I used to do that first. I can do that too. So I said, I'm going to do this. This is easy. So I started doing rehabs myself and funding them and loaning these guys money. And I'm going, now this is fun. Now it ties into the title piece because I'm doing the title on my projects and my things. Just now I'm having a good time. I'm still working underneath my dad's kind of wing there, and I said, okay, this isn't fun. I need to make this my own. So that's when I stepped out. I knew he was going to retire at some point, and I said, I want to kind of do this on my own. I want to establish my own little thing here. And I was so tired of the question as a salesperson for his title company of, how are you guys different from Chicago Title? What are you guys going to be? What's different that you're going to do, from First American? And I just ran out of these buildings, just all angry, going, I don't have an answer for that. This is insane. Cut to 2019. I started Inspired Title, which is underwritten by Fidelity, First American, Stewart. I got all the underwriters, and I'll tell you that story in a minute as to why I did that. But so being underwritten by them, having the name Inspired, because I said I'm going to be different. And my difference and my differentiator is that from every closing that we do, we donate a portion of our proceeds to charities that we work with. Habitat for Humanity. We are doing stuff for Crohn's and colitis. We are doing stuff for Miracle Leagues, and there's just so many different foundations that we work for. We sponsor so many golf outings. So I said that my mission, my difference is that we're going to give back. And I said, you know what? To some people that's going to matter. To some people it's not, and that's okay. So that's really what I've been doing now. And I also own a development company. So I turned from what I was doing with the rehabs and the remodeling and lending money. I own a company that does hard money lending. I own a company that does the remodeling and rehabs called Inspired Development, and then I own Inspired Title. So the kind of little grouping of that works out pretty great. And then, just getting out there, and obviously the market being what it is, just trying to make relationships now. And it's never been my goal to be the big guy. We're a family-owned title company. I call myself a boutique title company. We're able to think outside the box. We're able to get deals done more creatively. I'll take on some risk. The underwriter may look at me and go, I wouldn't do that. Going, okay, you're you and I'm me, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take that risk. And I've taken a lot of those in my life. So let's take another one. And it's proven to be lucrative and positive, because I think people are appreciative when you're able to, not kill deals, right? I mean, you guys are in the business to get deals done. We're in the business to help you get those deals done and say, okay, well, we can't do it that way, but we're going to do it like this. And now we're seeing a lot more of these investor clients coming in. They're doing these, wholesale deals, or they're doing these contract assignments. And, so every time there's a change in the market, there's a new thing that comes up. So 2005 and 6, it was the flips, it was the back-to-back closings, it was all that garbage. Here we are now in a market time when the inventory is down and the interest rates are high, and now we're seeing these wholesales and these assignment contracts happening, and we're kind of building our clientele to be that. So we've just kind of adapt to what the market does, and try to make some relationships with banks and attorneys, and do the best we can with it. So.
And it's funny because I think I've always told him title is title, right? And his big thing is networking. I didn't even know. I've been working with you guys for several years now,
yeah.
And we've talked on the phone all the time. Yeah. But the first time we meet in person,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I have people all the time asking me for hard money lenders. Now, again, the network. Now we put things together, right?
Right.
But the question I have for you, more importantly, is for the naive consumer right now that knows, or that's hearing, that's listening to us right now. What is title insurance?
Yeah.
Like, please explain to the regular. If I'm walking on the street, most people that come to us, we obviously disclose title, especially on a purchase. Sure. Lender's title, all that. Can you break down in a very easy way why title insurance is needed and why it's important for where you taking risks, and explain to us,
absolutely,
especially loan officers that might not even know. He might not even understand what title insurance is for, and I'm saying him in particular, but other loan officers that are listening.
No, I think it's a great question, and obviously we know that it's part of the process. It's a necessary evil that it's something that it's just taken care of in the back scenes here, right?
Yeah.
Well, title insurance is ultimately the protection for the consumer to say that you are able to rightfully own this property that this house is sitting on, and in its entirety. There are no liens and encumbrances that are forbidding you from living in this property. Title insurance is different from every other insurance. You pay for it one time, okay, at the time of closing. Whether you buy or sell, when you buy a house, the seller is going to pay for your title insurance. They're selling you the right to own that house free and clear from any kind of liens and encumbrances. So their mortgage that they used to have is not going to be on there anymore. Any kind of other liens, and I'm happy to talk about that too, but any other type of liens, if there's a judgment, if there's a weed cutting lien, some of the communities do that. If you leave your grass cut too long, don't cut your grass enough. So we ensure that property is perfectly clear. And we what we mean by that is we're going to take that and we're going to take a look from today behind us. Every other insurance is going, I'm going to protect you going forward. If you get into a car accident, that's forward, right? Title insurance is backwards. So everything that has happened on this property from the day it was dirt, we have looked through all of the processes to say every transfer that has happened, every deed transaction has been done correctly, and there is no issue, because the last thing you want to do is, Grandpa died and Grandma theoretically got the property, and then Grandma died and it goes to the kids, okay? So now, let's say there were 5 kids, but they only identified 4 of them because, we don't talk to that sister anymore. That sister owns 1/5 of that house, right? But the 4, they sold the house. That sister comes back and knocks on the door and says, I own 1/5 of your house, sir, you need to leave. and that rightfully so, she could do that. And now an attorney goes, uh-oh. And that's a claim. That's where a title insurance claim would come into play. They would call the title insurance company and say, hey, I have a policy that says I own this free and clear, and here comes Susie saying she owns 1/5 of it. Uh-oh. So now the title insurance company is going to have to pay out 1/5 of that house value to Susie. That's where that value is. Same thing on a tax. I mean, right now, the world we live in, taxes are delinquent, taxes are paid in the rears, people, tax sales are a big common thing. Holy cow, if those things aren't done right, and the real owner, not the tax buyer, comes back and says, I own this house, and they look at the tax sale and find out that it wasn't done correctly, they're right. Again, now you've got a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, so the loss on title insurance claims is big. It's value of the house. It's values of mortgages. If there's a mortgage from 1979, 30 years puts that at 2009, should be paid off. Okay. Well, if they, refinance it, or there's a home equity loan and you guys run credit, it shows 0. Okay, that's great, but it's still open. So we look at this and go, they're still able to get $20,000 or $30,000, whatever that HELOC is, but it says 0. Yes, but they have access to that money, right? So we go ahead and, we issue a policy to say everything's free and clear. They go ahead and, utilize 30 grand. There's a problem now.
Right.
So, it's that kind of protection that offers. So it also protects your boundaries. Okay. So it protects your, when you get your survey, it tells you everything about the property. If there's any easements, if there's any encroachments, if somebody builds a fence on your yard, that's an encroachment. It's not something that's going to, cost a lot of money, so it's not something that we're going to insure. But I will tell you that if you take your underground pool and you build it and you put it on the easement and ComEd comes through there and, busts your pool up, you're going to scream holy hell. And that's a title insurance claim, because did the title insurance company insure that your pool was a foot onto the easement and prevented ComEd from coming in there to do their thing? Wow. If they did,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. I mean, and then take it one step further. The easements and the boundaries, they're aerial too. So City of Chicago, if the neighbor builds his house and his window encroaches on your yard aerially, that's an encroachment. You could just say reach out the window and you could tickle her in the shower. That's problematic, right? Well, they're encroaching because that lot line, according to the survey, is not just on the ground; it goes up. So it's an aerial easement.
So let me ask you, as a lender, we don't really require surveys. So how important are surveys in your industry? And I've heard about, I always, again, not knowing, and I'm naive to your side. I always said, you don't need a survey. We can get a homestead endorsement or something like that. Mm-hmm. Where I know as a lender, I just want to get the deal done, whether or not you got to have a survey. Right. But you obviously are explaining that surveys are extremely important.
But in where they're important is really in the buy-sell transactions. I mean, what you're speaking of in the refinance world, it's not going to impact you. But in a buy-sell world, it is, because here again, as a buyer, I want to know what are my lot lines, what are my boundaries, is the house built incorrectly, is there, how many people do you know that take the fence and they put it out there and they go, oh, look, I got an extra 20 feet behind me. Yeah. It's in the easement. Nobody's ever going to be a problem until ComEd comes driving through there and blows it up. Okay? And you go, oh, my, they took out my fence. And they don't care. You're right. They're going, this is my space. Yeah. Well, the survey said that, your fence is on the easement. We told you that. And we also said, if it's a removable object, such as a fence, we're not going to insure it. It's not, you're not going to file a claim because the loss is little. If your house now is encroaching on an easement, different story. Shared driveways. If the shared driveways, is there an easement agreement in place between the neighbor? And there probably was 100 years ago. But people move, and now I don't like that neighbor. He's driving on my driveway. Yes, he is. He's also driving on his. Well, but this side of it's mine. Great. Divide it. Well, that costs money to go through because think about how many shared driveways there are in communities where, people literally will blacktop and just divide that line. They don't blacktop the whole thing. I did mine up to where I think I end, right? Mm-hmm. And you're kind of laughing at that, going, dude, really, you hate them that much? Yeah, it's out there. But Grandma and Grandpa had a wonderful relationship. It was probably a family member that they lived next door to. Like, yeah, we'll share this driveway. We only need to put in one. Great. that easement agreement is still in place, but I don't like you anymore. That easement agreement is still in place.
Right.
Deal with it. Or, you're going to have to do something different. So these are the type of things that we see and we deal with. And so to your ask, they are important because it tells the buyers everything about their property a little bit further. And when they move in, if they do want to put a fence up or a pool, they've got it already, because they're going to have to go to the village and get a permit, and the village is going to say, show me a survey and make sure that you're doing it right. And then, after the village goes, hey, this is great, you move your fence out to 10 or 15 feet, it's on you, right? That's what everybody does.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, hey, okay, here's the survey that it says. And they come back in 6 years and go, that's not right. It's okay.
I mean, I always think about the business of insurance as it's every single time that there's an insurance claim, it's a big loss, right? You guys make a consistent income until there's a big loss. And you're like, oh shit, it's a big loss. And I refer to that as obviously the cost of doing business, right? The risk, how much risk tolerance do you have? From the stories and the things that you're talking to me right now, it sounds like you have a very big risk tolerance, and you have that like, I guess, that gut feeling where you're going to take all the risks that you need in order for you to be successful. And we're talking about today, like, I feel like I have like kind of a balance. Like, I like taking risks, but at the same time I don't. Like, I have my dad's side, he's an accountant, so he's very conservative,
Absolutely.
So there's not really much wiggle room on his side. But for you, one thing I love about your story thus far is I can already tell, just based off the business that you've opened, you just are automatically like, okay, I'm gonna start lending people money. Whether or not they pay you, that sucks. Cool, now, but
And hard money is probably the
one.
the
riskiest.
Hey, there's a reason why banks don't do what hard money lenders do, right? It is high reward, but it is extremely high risk.
Yeah, I can certainly tell you some painful stories that but you learn your lessons, right? And realistically, when you lend somebody money at 18% and you're sitting there grinning, going, "This is going to be wonderful," the other side of you is going, they're never going to pay me back. I just got stiffed. I mean, you go, here's 50 grand. Oh, that's never coming back. And you have to be willing to understand that. But what I've done is because of having the attorney in my family and an attorney mindset, because of just being around it all my life, I put in the protections into place that, if you default on this, I own the house. Because I've got a deed signed from you to me that the moment you default on this, I record the deed and we're done and I own the house and thank you very much. So yeah, I still get my money back, but I got to do some things
in order for you.
But at least it's I'm protected that way a little bit, because we already know what am I going to do? Sue them? Great. It's going to cost me years and more than I lent you, and that's the thing. People know that. So I've lessened the group that I lend to, because it becomes, it becomes a little bit more of a headache, because everybody's looking for money because of that same thought going, I'll never pay the guy back.
Right. And you become over leveraged. And I think that one of the main things that I really want to hear from you is, when you have all these businesses, right? I think one of the hardest parts is really handling the pressure of leveraging to many different people, whether it be with a title company, whether it be a hard money lender, and over leveraging your money at some point. And to give everybody perspective, today we were talking about me buying a house for my personal self, for my family, right?
Okay.
Again, the first thing I'm thinking is like, I don't want to over leverage myself. Right. I want to be and sustain my business, and I want to continue to grow naturally, not having to think about it. In a sense of business, I think it makes a little bit more sense, because when you over leverage, there's high reward. When it comes to buying a house, it's more long-term reward.
Definitely.
For you though, when you're looking at all the business that you started, how did you overcome the pressure of opening multiple businesses, leveraging your money, doing hard money? How did you overcome that pressure that alongside with everything?
It's a great question.
And do you have a favorite? You have a favorite passion in the business that you open?
100%. I can answer both those. I will say to you that it was unconscious. This kind of evolved for me into just, I'm the hyper rooster. Like, I don't, I gotta go. Like, if I'm sitting here long and I'm going, all right, I need to do something. I mean, it's got to move, right? To your point, coming from like that background of the financial markets, and like the day is, 5:30 in the morning and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like, I can run home. You've got so much energy. You're just so you're amped up. Now you get into this and you're going, oh my God, I could fall asleep after 5 minutes of this. It's like, oh my gosh. But then you get into, construction and remodeling, and then you're spending all day yelling at contractors because they have no idea what they're supposed to do, and they're the professional, and you're going, wait a minute, I'm paying you to do this and you don't know where the toilet goes? It's the round thing in the ground in the bathroom, right? It's, you know, put it on that.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just a natural evolvement of me saying, okay, I have a financial background, I have a construction background, and okay, this title thing is a necessary evil, and I could just, you know, I can leverage that to what I love to do, which is, you know, construction, building homes, giving back to people, because there's nothing greater, as you guys know, than providing the American dream and letting people, you know, open the door to that house and it just be done and beautiful, and you were a big part of that. On the title side, you can't say, well, I was a big part of that. You're like, well, okay, great, I made you sign some paper. Whoa.
That you didn't really understand.
Right. Right. That an attorney said and explained it to you, and you still went,
That makes sense.
Right. And, you know, so I think I leveraged it more to the gratification than I did to the actual, you know, job itself. It was more gratifying to watch people and giving back to people, and then saying, oh, hey, look, these all kind of have some synergy, and it made sense to kind of tie all of them together because they all work together in the puzzle. And then, you know, bringing in attorneys and realtors and kind of creating a network of, you know, influence that I have around me. And that's what, you know, I want to be I want to be able to connect you guys with people that can help you and grow your businesses. Because what does that do? It comes back somewhere.
Right.
You know, if it comes back from you guys, great. If it comes back from karma, that's great. But realistically, it's not about me. It's about something bigger than me. And my entire team lives that. We speak frequently through the week and say, what did you do today to make a difference? How did you make a difference in somebody's life? And it literally makes them stop and go, oh man, I haven't really impacted somebody today. Like, all right, well, you better get out and go through the drive-through and buy that person behind you the coffee, because you're not going to do it in the next 45 minutes here, right? Like, you need to make a difference. And they've bought into this, and they see my energy, and they see the excitement, and I keep on looking for that next opportunity. And it's crazy, you don't have to, because they start to kind of come, and you're going, I don't want that.
Right.
Like, you know, now I'm in a different position where opportunities start to, you know, appear, and you just look at these and go, no, that one's not for me. And I didn't think I'd ever say no to some things, because I'm a yes, like, yeah, let's do that. I could do that. There's nothing I couldn't do. Now I'm going, oh man, there's not enough hours in a day, but I'm gonna give that a look anyway. Let's just go do that.
Yeah.
You know?
We just talked about that today.
Yeah.
About, you know, what, you know, in everyone's career, it's, you know, different, right? And everyone's time is different and more valuable. I'm not saying my time is more valuable than yours.
Not at all.
But you might not view value in time as valuable as I view value in time.
True
To
statement.
me, that's the most valuable thing anyone can own, is time. And unfortunately, you can't make more of it. At least that'll be the true trillionaire. If you can figure out how to make more time, then by far the richest man in the world.
Amen.
Right? And we talked about that today, where, you know, everyone's career is at a different path, or is in a different position today than it was. I was different from him 20 years ago. I've been in the business for a long time, and the conversation we have now, as a matter of fact, we had the same conversation about it today. We're like, listen, there's differences in people's careers where you put yourself in a position where you want to live the life that you want to live, right?
That's it.
And I'm doing things now that are different than I did before.
Different times though,
Different
right?
times,
Yeah.
right? And for me, this is more valuable than, you know, I don't do things anymore, because we were talking about that today, and I'm like, listen, before it was to be yes, 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 yes,
right,
to everything.
Build everything.
Now it's different. I don't need it anymore.
Right.
You know, I've been blessed, and now time is more valuable to me than anything else.
Yeah.
So I value that more than anything. And to me, it's time with my family. You know.
And that's amazing, and I totally respect that. And to your your quest of taking on the house, I think that's I mentor a lot of people, from like teenage kids to the guy I'm mentoring now is like 35 or 36, and you can breathe life into these people, and I say that you breathe life into somebody. Look at the folks that are sucking that life out of you. Those are the people you don't want to hang with, because there are a lot of people who are takers. That's not your crowd. Those takers are going to put you in a place that disallows you to do the things and accomplish the things that you want to do, versus the people who are pushing you forward and putting you up on the pedestal. I I'll tell you what is my daily motivation. I have all 3 of my kids working in my company.
That's awesome.
Accidentally for one of them, but like, if there's nothing more motivating than saying, I'm in an industry that's already competitive and tough. Now I've got my children who are relying on the business to succeed, which is leaning on me to succeed. I don't need a lot of motivation, right? And so to say that, I don't balance my time well with family and stuff, I see them every day, okay? It is different though, because I wear the dad hat or I wear the boss hat. It's like, you're an idiot. I'm sorry to hear you're almost gonna get fired. Here, like it literally is, it's literally that type of conversation going, you almost got fired today, son, you better clean it up. Jerk, you need to do this, this, and this. But they get it. And my father-in-law put his arm around me literally this weekend, and he goes, what are you thinking, hiring all 3 of your kids in your business? Like, are you insane? I went, yes, I've been called that.
Yeah.
I said, because look at some of the things I've done. I take the risk, I'll take the chances, but I know the consequence. So I think that's a difference. If you know what that consequence is and you're okay with it, then the chance doesn't matter. And realistically, I have forethought that consequence in so many aspects of a situation or a business or a family adventure, whatever it is. I'm already 10 steps ahead of the whole group going, this is what could happen. Probably not, but it could. And here's how I'm going to protect us from that. So
I love that.
I'm literally looking at things in a bigger picture and saying, I know the consequence and I'm willing to accept that because it's not going to break me. And then I go to this other depth of craziness, and I'm sorry to take it deep, but what is the worst thing that's happened to you? I'll share a story, and I don't mind being vulnerable if you guys don't mind me being vulnerable.
For sure.
I lost a child at 7 months old. There's nothing that is ever going to be as bad as that was. Bring it. You can't beat me. I lived through that. Shut up. You mean to tell me that I lost $50,000 today? Okay. I didn't lose a child.
I just got chills, bro.
Yeah, I know,
That's
me too.
literally the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So, in reality, find out what's the worst thing that happened to you, and look at the things that you're about to accomplish and take on. If they're not going to be that bad, you got it, because you lived through that. That's my motivational speak to these kids I mentor, and they don't even know sometimes what is the worst thing that has happened to them, because it hasn't maybe happened. But in their mind, they've got a worst. It doesn't maybe measure up to others, but it doesn't matter. For them, it's bad. Okay, that's your measuring stick. That's your grounding point. Is this going to be that bad? Well, the hell no. Then go do it.
And take the risk.
Go do it. There's my risk. So my bar is set pretty high.
Right.
That's why I kind of. That's why I'm kind of resilient to a lot of things going.
And I think you look at life in a different perspective, and it's beautiful to hear, but it's really emotional based, right? Like, and it's truly based off emotions, and that's why you're able to kind of overcome things. And I love the story that you have. We're very family based, and I think that your story really resonates with me because that's honestly how we got the closest, right? And I think my dream, people might say crazy, but my dream would to have my family within my business. Like I want my family to have the capability of being in my business, not that they have to, but let's say at one point in time I need an attorney, my kid wants to be an attorney. Well, you could be an attorney on my team.
Right.
I need legal help. Oh,
Right.
I want to be an accountant. Hopefully my team is big enough where I need an accountant.
Right.
And if you want to join my team, you have the ability to. You don't have to, but that, in my eyes, is a big dream to me because I wouldn't have a relationship with my uncle the way
Right.
that I do right now if I was not in the mortgage industry. And I say that because we didn't have that strong relationship prior to this. And my life could be completely different right now. I could have
Totally.
went left. I could have went with my dad, been an accountant, and who's to say we don't have the relationship that we do right
Totally.
now? We stay up till 5 a.m. drinking, just talking about life,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think that's super powerful
It is.
to be able to think about how life can go either left or right. And those impactful moments are going to determine whether or not you excel in your life, whether you kind of take it for what it is and really grow from those situations.
Yeah.
Or some people, unfortunately, kind of take a dive, but always people have to understand there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Okay.
There's going to be a point and moment of realization where you're like, okay, I can get through this, and if I can get through this, there's not one thing that I can't get over,
That's
right?
it.
And
You gotta
your
believe it.
story, like, it's
many
really
people-
powerful.
Too many people stop short because they self-restrict. And I really hate that, because it's like you don't know how difficult it is until you get into it, right? And if Dwight sitting in front of me is the storm and it's chasing me, I'm not running that way, because it's going to eventually catch me. I'm going that way, because guess what? Through it on the other side is clarity. So it's going to happen. Yeah, this is going to suck for a little while. You know, I told my kids as they were growing up, 4 years of college or the rest of your life sucking. I'm not saying you have to go to college, but you can withstand 4 years of difficult times of college versus struggling every day of your life. I didn't go to college, okay? My dad and my relationship is not like mine and my kids. He was and he still is jealous of my success. I want my kids to blow the roof off. Yeah. I want to sit back and watch you guys grow. If you guys make more money than me, I win. I did what I'm here to do. I'm not competing with you. And I was constantly competing with my dad, and that was our rub. That was my driving force to go, and you know, kudos to him. He taught me work ethic, because he works hard, but he also taught me resilience, because we butted heads on everything, and anytime I tried that, that's not going to work. Well, that's not cool. That's not a good answer.
Right.
I mean, we're licensed in Indiana. Oh, I did that back in the day. You know, it's never going to work for you. Okay, well, I'm still licensed in Indiana. We're doing pretty well. Thank you very much.
Right.
Because that was motivation for me.
Right.
You keep telling me I can't do something.
Right.
My wife tells me that all the time. She's like, you can't park in that spot. Really?
Watch me.
Watch this. She goes, well, I can't get out. I said, you told me I couldn't park in the spot. You just said you're not getting out. I said, I got a sunroof. Jump out the top, honey. You know? I mean, don't tell me I can't do something, because there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it and I set myself to succeed.
Right.
And that's everybody's reality. There's nothing you can't do.
I agree. I think there's two people that you need in life. I think you need a person in your life that believes in you.
Amen.
In every aspect. And that for me is my mom. I could tell my mom I'm gonna fly tomorrow. My mom would tell. I'll never forget the story. It was one time my mom told me no. I think I was 10. I still remember to this day. I was 10 years old. I told my mom I wanted to go to the MLB. She's like, Papi, it's hard. You know, it's a very hard journey. I'm not saying that you can't, but I don't know if you can. It's very hard. That was the hardest pill for me to swallow at 10 years old. I started crying, and ever since then, my mom has never told me that I cannot do it. I swear on everything. There's nothing that I could not do in my mom's eyes. And then there's another person that you have to have in your life. Someone that will never tell you that you could do it.
Right.
And they will always keep you humble.
Yep.
And that person is him in my life.
Right.
You know, I remember I first got into business. The first thing I told him, like, Theo, I want to do $10 million. He's like, bro, people in the industry, they would never do that. The first year, you're never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So when you told me that, I was like, oh, really? Okay. First year, 14 million. That was my first, like,
Good
boom.
for
That was
you,
it. Yeah,
dude.
first year,
Yes.
boom, like that. Next year, same thing. I want to do 20. Bro, hold your horses. Like, you're good, but you're not that good yet. Guess what? We accomplished that. And that was the thing till this day. He still does that, but I appreciate it. And he doesn't understand how much I appreciate that, because I need to have that two different life perspectives, because there's people that are motivated in certain different ways. You got to figure out what really motivates you,
Yeah.
what aspect of life
Right.
motivates you. But that motivates me is having that balance of people, and I think that's what develops true leaders. And
Yep.
I think one thing I love about what you're talking about is you're actually the true leader that I kind of envisioned myself at one point. Is that for not only for my family, but for other individuals who want to grow in their own businesses. Understanding that what I'm doing is something that you could do as well.
Right.
Dig deep into your own life. Figure out what makes you and drives you to become who you want to be. And when
No
you
doubt.
take that and you get other individuals to be able to see that and they become successful,
Yeah.
that's the most success that you can add. We talked about it before.
Man, I
100%.
love how, dude. I was expecting totally different this podcast, learning about fucking Tyler and shit. I'm being touched by everything you guys are saying. It's
Well-
insane. I just had a conversation recently with my wife.
Yeah.
It's just crazy hearing your story, bro. We had a conversation with my wife, and asked her, like, what is the worst thing a parent can experience? And she said, quote unquote, one thing that God got wrong is having a parent experience burying their kids. A parent should never bury their kids.
Wow.
That's so, and then you just
Yeah.
said this, bro. It's just, I'm so like emotional,
Yeah.
and I don't get touched very often, but he'll tell you.
Yeah.
But hearing your story, man, it's
It's powerful.
out of this world, and which speaks to your character, bro.
Yeah.
Now I know why it's very, hearing the story, and I'm glad you're open with us and honest
Yeah, I
with your
appreciate
dad.
that. Yeah.
I always see certain people that don't like to talk about certain things, but when you share what your true
Yeah.
upbringing is, it does make a difference in people's lives, because
Right.
not everyone has the kind of relationship that they wish they had with their parents.
Right.
But how impactful it can be if you spin it the right way. Right. You took it as a motivation.
Yeah.
And accomplished what you have.
Yeah.
I was at Wells Fargo for 15 years
Mm-hmm.
before I came to Neighborhood Loans. And I remember to this day, I thought lending was not going to be what I was
Right.
gonna do.
Right.
I got here on accident. That's another story. But
Uh-huh.
I remember when I got at Wells Fargo was something called PIP, Performance Improvement Plan.
Okay.
And when I got it, was basically a write-up for
Mm-hmm.
underperforming. And I took it. I didn't sulk, and I didn't say, "Listen, I suck. I either shit or get off the pot."
Right.
One of the two.
Right.
And that motivated me to do the things I needed to do.
Amen.
To be successful. And I knew if I did what I needed to do, then I can honestly say, "Listen, I wasn't meant. I
Right.
wasn't cut up for this business," and get out of it.
Yeah.
Right. But as soon as I started doing those things started changing. And before you know it, 20 plus years later, I'm still here.
Right.
So it does is how you take negative and how you take circumstances and experiences in your life and flip them to a positive way, right? Which you have done.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
have
that's why
to.
I'm always hard on him, because I always tell him, this is the Navy SEALs, man. You want to be the best?
Right.
Not everyone that goes into the Navy SEALs makes it. And
No.
it's okay. If you want to be the best, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And if you're not cut up for it, it's okay.
It's okay.
I'm not going to tell everyone, we have a little contest at work today. And I know how to push people's
Mm-hmm.
buttons and shit. And he's like, "Oh, well, you're going to do this?" And when all of a sudden everybody's a winner, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm like, so I do hear what he says, because I think I learned a lot from this young man now, because I don't know the generation that he's brought up.
Right. Right.
And there's certain things that I need to understand that I'm not great at certain things, right?
Mhm.
I can't touch that generation like he can. So now the roles are starting to be reversed, right?
Totally.
Now I'm looking at him, because guess what? All my top lead generators are in that.
Yeah. That's their age category. Right on.
Right. And
Right
those
on.
are the people that are buying. Those are the
Yeah.
people that are moving up. Those are the people that are
And he speaks their
graduating
language.
college, and he speaks
Right.
their language. So how can I can't put myself in a position where, I've been in the industry for 20 plus years and I know more than you, and that
Yeah, they don't
once
care.
you get to that point, you're gonna fail.
Right.
And that's
Right.
why Radio Shack's not around. That's why Montgomery Ward's not
Right.
around. That's why Sears, they don't shift
You got
with
to.
the times, and you have to shift. You're
Mhm.
not better than. You always have to learn. You
Yeah.
always have to surround yourself with people that can teach you. And he did the right thing. He's always said, I'm only as worth as my network is, because
Yeah.
my network is really what's going to drive me to the next level. And it's so true. Now I'm like, shit, he's right.
Yeah.
When we first started when I got him in the industry, we used to go to events, and he's like, "Man, Theo, you know everybody." Man, because of course, been in the business
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes.
4 years later, I'm going to events. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
Justin, you know everybody. I don't know how the roles have been reversed.
They're
you know?
dying, Dwight.
I am.
Let's just call it what it is. I mean, think about it. I think what you're doing is what more of us need to do, is recognize where our ceiling is. And now we're in a different role. Our role switches to now we're teaching. And that's why I'm who I am. So coming out here and being vulnerable, one or two things is going to happen. It's going to move people, or they're going to go, "Oh my God!" They're rigid, and if they're rigid, it's not my people, right?
Agreed.
If I can't be who I am, if I can't share a vulnerable story and be transparent and touch people with a real story, because this is real, then I guess, we probably don't connect, and thank you very much and move on, right? You learn quickly. So we become smarter as to identifying the rooms we want to be in, and they pick up on that and start going, "Wow, you were fast to kind of bounce." Well, yeah, because this is your room. My room's over there, and I'm going to go there and do well. You excel in here, and it's just recognizing where we're at. And when people, when you limit people to say you can't be emotional, you got to, that shows weakness. Really? I'll challenge that every day, because if me shedding a tear or if a guy shedding a tear, there is nothing more powerful than guys getting together and shedding a tear
100%.
and coming together around, because we all have the same problem. We all have the same issue. It's just that guy's going to tell us. And we're going to go, yep, that's me too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's everybody. And you're going, but thanks for breaking the ice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
That is true.
we all have, and now all of a sudden we're bonded. Are we bonded because we don't want anybody else to know? Maybe. But we're still bonded around, dude, that sucks, man. How can I help you out? And we are a real compassionate, deep person. But we're never allowed to be that, because we're always told to, you can't show your emotion. You got to be strong. You cry, that's all BS. Because, and I lived that for so many years until I went, no. My dad's 80. I've not heard I love you. I tell my kids every day because of that. And that's real to me, because, he's 80, he's not going to do it. But I feel I'm picketing in front of this vacant building going, God, I hope he says it today. It's never going to happen. But I made sure that I wasn't going to, parent, and I wasn't going to lead the way he does. So I literally shifted my entire being to say, thanks, Dad. You did teach me. You taught me to be who I am because of who you are. And if you think about that in a perspective of you, who do you want to be? Because you have total control over that. You totally can be whoever and whatever. All you have to do is take the first step.
But let me ask you, your dad obviously made you who you are. He
Yeah.
was your pillar, right? Did you have the privilege to meet your grandfather and
Yes,
see?
best, he was more my father. We golfed together. We golfed in tournaments together. We bowled in tournaments together. He came to all my baseball games. I mean, I played baseball all the way through college, and I think my dad was at a game or two because he was always working. So I got a work ethic from him. My mom leverages that excuse that, your dad wanted to be at the games, but he had to work. It's like, Mom, don't cover for it anymore. Like, I get it. As I got older, I get it. It's a high school game, and we're in, sectionals, and come on.
It's okay.
So I wrote a book about it. And it's literally, because I coached my kids in baseball for, since they were little, through all the travel stuff. And I literally,
So you're a owner of
Author.
a business, owner of a construction
say
company,
that,
and an author too?
published author. So in my spare time.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think importance is time, exactly what we're talking about. Now that I'm a new dad, I'm
Yeah,
a father
congratulations.
now. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
8 months now. 8 months now. The fact that this scares me, right? Like having the ability to shut off and being able to enjoy the moments for what they are, and you being able to juggle all these things, and then being a coach, because I strive. Similar to you, I played baseball in college.
Yep, nice.
I loved the fact that my parents were there. I'm talking driving to Indiana for showcases.
Amen.
I'm talking driving to Florida.
Yes, the travel.
Flying trips.
Everywhere.
I'm talking
World
every
Series,
weekend. They
Cooperstown.
sacrificed everything.
Yes.
And to experience those moments with me. And to this day, I think I attribute all my success to my parents, right? And I always look at life, there's two perspectives. There's one perspective of your parents, right? Whether you had a great upbringing or not.
Yep.
It all leads to the same river, which hopefully, I would hope people who watch this, that everything that your parents, whether they did or didn't, should lead to a point to where you either want your kids to be better, either way in every perspective, or you want to be better than your parents, so that way your kids can have that perspective where it's like, man, my parents did such a good job,
Yep.
I want to become better, right? So for you, when you're like telling your kids and you're going to your games, how did you balance, running these businesses and becoming a coach at the same time and shutting everything off to enjoy the moment that you guys are currently in?
I literally was blessed with a team that is, through leadership, because everything I'm sharing, everything I'm doing here, I do this is who I am, and this is how I lead. and me bowing out of the office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and or earlier to get ready for practice or go to a game or whatever, was I just was all in. And that message, that email, that whatever is still going to be there. Now, mind you, my kids are. My oldest son was born in '87, so he's going to be 37 this year. So I was married at 5. Well, you know how old I am now. So anyway, well, I was married at 5 is what I'm going to say. But so my oldest son is 37. My middle son is 32, and my daughter is she just turned 30. So 30 years ago, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
Okay, the industry was different, work was different. School was different. The internet was not really there, so it was a different time, and it really scares me to say that because I feel like I'm an old guy, and I am. So I didn't have the distractions that you guys have today, so it made it easier. I wasn't attached to that as much as people are today, because if you think about 20 years ago, you didn't have to answer emails the minute they happen, but we create this. We create our boundaries. If you answer your phone 24/7, you created that boundary. People know that that's what you're going to do. If you create a boundary that you're going to work 10 hours, that's your boundary. So if you are answering your emails and you're responding to texts at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, then expect to do that for a period of time until you shrink that boundary. So like we said earlier, it's not about doing better than our parents. It's about taking what they gave us and making it ours. They gave us gifts, whether they're good gifts or bad gifts. Everybody's opened up a gift and go, "Do you have the receipt? Because this is awful." But it's still a gift, because now you take with it what you want and do it, and you then create that freedom or lack of it for your time. And as your kids grow and as you want to get involved with them, something has to give, and that's the decision you have to make, is what is going to give. It should never be a decision. It should always be they win, and this will be here. If you didn't have this job, you'd have a different one. They're going to grow, and when they grow and they move out and they start living their lives, you're going to look back at that and say, "Man, I wish I would." You don't want to live that. That's the other thing. You don't want to live the what if.
Yeah.
What if I would have just done that? No. That's the other reason I'm motivated and I'm crazy, because I don't ever want to ask myself, "Man, what if I would have just done that?" No, I'm going to go do it and go, "Oh, that sucked. That hurt. That one stung."
Ooh.
Okay, I learned. Yeah, all right, great. But that's just how I'm built. Not everybody's built like that, but. And I had kids at a young age. I mean, I was married at 19,
wow.
And my wife was 20. I was playing ball in college, and I didn't finish college. I came back and we got married, and because I figured that was the right thing to do, and we had, baby on the way, and okay, here we go. And we were married for, so we were married for 13 years, and we just kind of looked at each other one day and said, "We're still young." And we had 3 kids at that time. We just kind of grew apart. We still cared about each other, but we just grew apart. So we decided to divorce. Kids were a little bit older, teenagers. And she went on and got remarried. I went on and got remarried. And the kids did well. But it was a realization of, we just, we were young. And we made the decision to do what we were doing when we needed to do it for the reasons, but we also were adult enough to go, "Yeah, I don't want to live this fake relationship for, when we're still young enough to have another shot at this." So, we found happiness with other people, and, the kids they're fine with it, and they adapted to it. So, that was a tough decision, and people frown upon divorce, and it was back in the day when it wasn't as common as it is today. It was more looked at like, "What happened? What are you guys doing?" I was married at 19. I didn't know. I'm a kid. What do I know? I mean, I honestly didn't grow up, and I don't feel I still have some of the things I do. But you know, I don't look back at anything and say, man, I wish I would have. Because everything I have right now is something I dreamt about yesterday. Everything that I've done, I thought about saying, man, I hope I can have a business someday. I hope I can run a company. I hope I can lead a team. I hope I can mentor some people. I hope I could, and I've done those things. You know, and I'm looking for that, what is that next thing, you know, and I don't know, but it's out there. Like, you know, at 50, at my 50th birthday, I ran the marathon.
Wow.
I said, okay, then COVID hit. And I said, okay, now what am I going to do? I wrote a book. I would run another marathon before I read a book, for the record. I truly, it was brutal on the body, but wow, talk about brutal on the mind. It was touching though. Like it was, you know, everybody's got a story.
Book, if you don't mind
Yeah,
sharing?
it's called The 2 Hour Difference. And it's called The 2 Hour Difference. I'll send you a copy of it. It is literally about, it's my, you know, we had these kids it's my coaching type mentality, because I run my businesses just like I coach a baseball team. There's no difference. Because realistically, we're a team. Everybody on that team, you prepare for practice the same way you prepare for work. You have success. I had tremendous success as a coach, and I was able to identify the idiot coaches, the ones out there just screaming and yelling at these kids all the time. And I'm going, what are you teaching them? You know,
That'll be me.
You know, we're literally, you know, we had these kids for 2 hours in a you know, a couple days a week, right? And the impact that we made on them, I've been invited to several high school graduations from former players, and 2 of my kids were fortunate enough to be valedictorians, and they mentioned their travel ball experiences and me as a coach in their valedictorian speeches. I'm up there, you know, I'm crying like a little kid going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I impacted somebody that much, and that's when I started to know that this is a gift, that I need to tell this story. I need to share this with people, because, you know, single moms are out there. They don't know what a good coach is versus a bad, because they're dropping little Johnny off, and they're going to come back and pick him up in an hour. Little Johnny's just got verbally abused and yelled at, and Johnny's a swimmer. Johnny doesn't want to play left field and bat last. And you know, then there's the other parent, which we've all seen, right? Everybody's kid's a D1 ball player. Yeah. Like, no, sir, I'm sorry. Sorry to tell you, your kid is a swimmer, or should be playing tennis. Get off the field, right? And I have no problem saying that, because I set a precedent with these folks, going, I'm going to teach these kids and get these kids ready to play high school baseball. And then when they were in high school, and I was fortunate enough to coach high school ball, and then I coached college ball, it was just getting them ready for the next level. But through that whole time, you're mentoring them about life lessons. And that's literally what the book is about, life lessons that I imparted on these kids through coaching. It's not about winning and losing. And I'll tell you another story if you got time for this thing. I was asked to coach a bunch of inner city kids. And I wish I could make this story up. It's so crazy. These kids were talented Black and Hispanic athletes that just had no direction. They came from, you know, nothing, and broken homes and everything. And the coach just got frustrated, and he just left. So the guy who was running the travel teams threw, can you help me out? Just a bunch of 14-year-olds that just they need some coaching. All right, I coach them, and I'm just watching these kids. And first day of practice, like, there's, you know, 4 kids sitting on the bench afterwards, and, you know, waiting, because they didn't know who was going to pick them up. It was going to be, you know, grandma or sister. You know, they had no idea how they were getting home. Like, all right, I'm going to take these kids home. So I drove them home and just kind of learned a little bit more about these kids. And when I started challenging them, like, this was the best baseball team for 6 innings. And as soon as they started to lose, they were done. They quit. And I started to just pry into this, going, what's stopping you guys? Like, you guys are winning, and all this. The minute you start facing adversity, you guys crumble. What's going on? We're not going to win, coach. They're better than us. They're gonna beat us. Yeah, with that attitude they are. Let's play all the game. Let's go. And I kept pumping them up, and they started to, you know, get some energy and excitement. They started winning ball games. And I started looking out, and there's nobody on our side, and the other side is full of people. Call parents together, call parent meetings, going, why don't you guys come out and support your kids? This is a good bunch of kids, good team. Oh, they lose every game. We got other things to do. Like, these are your kids. Yeah. Come on, watch these kids play. I promise you, you will see entertainment if you guys show up to some ball games. I said, if anything, you're going to see me in flip-flops and a gator rum on the side, coaching third base, watching these kids and just breathing life and pumping these kids up, telling them how great they are, and giving them efforts for trying. A couple parents would come here and there. The kids started winning more ball games. They started winning more ball games. More parents are coming, and they started talking amongst themselves. They couldn't wait to go to practice because I'm making this fun and I'm supporting them. They never had a coach that cared. We won like 12 games in a row, and like the parents thought that I was the next coming of Jesus Christ. We went to a tournament and we came in second place, and they had never gotten that close anywhere. And then the next year, they got me coaching them next year because now I'm locked. I'm like, oh Jesus, now what did I do, right? Coaching next year. We went undefeated for the first 3 months. We started playing at the end of March. We played until March, April, May, June. We didn't lose a ball game. These kids were unbeatable because they believed in themselves, because finally somebody believed in them. I wrote about this in the book. And now I had people coming to ask to be on this team. So there was a team that was disgruntled, falling apart. Nobody cared about them. As soon as you showed these kids that they cared, as soon as you got their parents out there, because I didn't have mine, and I know how that felt, and I could relate to what that was going on, going, do the right thing. Get out there and support your kid. I'm doing it, and I don't even know them. This is your blood and flesh. You do this. And I'm telling you, it was, why don't you should have my kid pitching. Have you talked to them? Your kid is an amazing athlete, but they don't like pressure. So you know when he wants to pitch? When we're ahead, and he's gonna close the game because he doesn't want the pressure of losing the game. It's me knowing where they belong. And it's me identifying where their strengths are and not putting them in situations that they don't want to be in and that they're scared of, because they're gonna fail. Put them where they belong. Right butts in the right seats. Same thing at the office. I can't have Miguel doing my job. Miguel's a closer. Miguel is an amazing closer. He's an amazing, relation and peace builder with clients. He's going to get the deal done. He's a bulldog on the phone with people. He's great. Not going to be organized, but okay, that's fine. I accept that. So I literally put together my office like a baseball team, and I find out where their strengths are. I push people. I load people up until they come to me and go, ho, I can't do anymore. Great, I found your breaking point. Okay, cool, now I back off. Everybody's breaking point is different. That's how I learn, that's how I lead. And if you have enough moxie to step in and say, Drew, no, that's too much, I can't handle it. Cool, I just know what my boundaries are now with you. You like pressure, you don't, you're a little quieter, sweet, okay, now I can delegate. Now it frees me up to know what I gotta do. So it's creating that.
Sometimes I think the most important part about leadership, from what I've learned from you two individuals, is listening. And I think that's truly a lost art. I think all I did different than I would say any other intern that I've known is I just listened to him. I took the time to kind of indulge in the things that he would tell me on a daily basis, and I think that helped me kind of propel my career.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things that I always
Not just
listen to
listening, bro, is asking questions. We had a conversation today.
Yeah.
I had a plan for his next steps and his growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I had a plan, but I've never actually sat down with his current team and asked him if my plan was what their vision was. I assumed, and you know what they say about assuming,
amen.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was a eye-opener, because I'm over here thinking, oh, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is the plan, blah, blah, blah. And he came to me, he's like, hey, Theo, I'm getting too many leads, we need to figure something out. And again, not that he has a breaking point, but he also understands the value of time.
Right on.
And if I can't preach something and not respect what I'm preaching, right? So I already know that not he has a breaking point, but he's looking for the future. He's looking what his
Yep.
next steps are going to be, his next moves are going to be. And now he's now relaying that information back to me. I'm like, okay, there's certain things I do to teach him. Like a couple years ago, he wanted an assistant. I'm like, no, this is what you're going to do. And he learned, and he had the pains, the Navy SEAL theory, right? So now, okay, I knew, he's like, okay, the breaking point is near, and the opportunity arose. We got him a team member, an assistant, and now they're gel. Now it's
Yep.
great. Now he's at the next point of his career where, okay, I need to add someone else. And I already recognize that. He's like, he already knows how to sell me. You know? We were talking about Ponzi, and he's like, I'm not saying that I can't handle the leads, but of course, the sandwich, right?
Yeah.
The bread, the sauce, the meat, and then. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
You're
That's
talking
right.
to me. You ain't gotta sell it
Exactly.
to me like that, right?
Yes.
But I did hear him out. I did respect what he had to say, and I know where his family is right now. And
Right.
he's young, and I understand the value of time for him, especially going forward with, as his daughter gets older and whether he wants to have another one and all
Right.
that. So I'm already thinking that before he even told me. But I had a plan, and all of a sudden, we come into the office today, and a lot of people think this is the end of the world because I don't know if you've seen a movie. I forgot the name of the movie where technology just fails, and you have all these. One of my colleagues at work, Delilah, told me about this movie where technology basically somebody hacked into the grid.
Yep.
They had Teslas.
Yep.
They had Teslas going on their own, crashing.
End of the world
into-
is on its way.
So
Here we
today,
come.
our Encompass is down and we can't
Yeah.
do nothing.
Right.
So I got people in the office like, hey, Dwight, what are we going to do here? And I'm in the office and I'm like, oh, you just want to go home? I'm like, no, we're not going to go home.
Right.
You can still make calls, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, we had a time. He's like, all right, deal, we can talk about this right now.
Right.
Like, Compass is down,
Right. You
let's
can
talk
actually
about it.
communicate.
Oh, okay. So we're in the office and we're talking. I had a plan, and we didn't take one of his team members into consideration of what her vision and her plan was for her future.
Yeah.
And it threw us a curveball. She told us what she wanted to do,
Yeah.
and then I don't know if he knew, but I had no idea what
Yeah.
her aspirations were.
Right.
So now I'm like, shit. As a leader, I'm like, I got to give you the opportunity first,
Right.
because your loyalty is with him, is with you.
Right.
This other person that we're trying to now bring into it, I'm going to give it to you first.
Yeah.
So if this is what you really want to do, okay, now the shift is changed. Now the narrative is a lot different than it is.
100%.
and it's because I didn't ask the questions.
100%.
Right? He's right. You have to listen, but at the same time, you have to ask, because there are not a lot of people are going to tell you what they want. And I've learned that throughout my career, that some people want something, but they don't have the guts or the courage to tell you what they want. Sometimes you have to ask, why do you want to do this? What do you want to do? And
For
as
sure.
a good leader, you have to not just listen, but you have to ask. And I realized that today, like, man, you know what? We were talking, I'm like, this is a curveball.
Yeah.
But she's going to be very successful in our
Yeah.
plan she wants to do. But if it wasn't for the conversation we had today,
Right.
I just would have plugged somebody in with the plan that we originally had when it was something that would crush her, because that's what she wants to do. So
Yeah.
now we're like, okay, we're going to switch the narrative and we're
Pivot,
going to do this.
right.
But it was because we listened, we asked the questions.
I think it's listen, adapt, and apply. So you listen to somebody, you take it in, and I think that was something that I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of like motivational
Sure,
stuff. Like
ditto.
I love listening to other individuals speak because I take that in and I apply it every single aspect of my life. And I always, it's kind of funny because when I was younger, it was always something that I listened to motivation when I was 13 years old. Like I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the MLB. I'm gonna start running around the
Right,
block and see what I can
right.
do. I would do that when I was young. So now, even as I get older, I still do the same thing. You know, like Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about how hard you hit; it's about how you get hit and how you can keep moving forward. Like that stuff drives me, and I'm like, man. And that's why I resonate with everything he tells me, because it's like it keeps me driving, it keeps going. But I just don't listen to the things he tells me. I try to apply it, and I try to adapt to every situation that
You're
comes
unique.
in. And I think that exactly what he was saying, the situation that we had today, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
The first thing she told me, the first thing came, I'm like, fuck. Now the first thing in my mind is like, okay, how can we adapt?
Right.
And then how can we apply everything that she wants but still grow the team in the way that we want to?
Right.
And we got to be quick on our feet, because these situations, I think, as they come by, it's a blessing in disguise. Like it's
Totally.
crazy how all of a sudden our systems are down, everything's down, and these conversations just come apart, all happen. And you could, if you look in that perspective,
Yep.
and you say, okay, right now we can go left or right. How are we gonna adapt, and how could we become great from this moment? Then we're gonna look back 5 years from now and be like, man, this shit changed our life.
Yeah.
If the systems weren't down on that day, in that specific time, we would have gone about our day. We probably would never know, and this person's life might have been miserable for the rest of
Right.
life because she would have the what if we were talking
So
about.
true.
You know, and that moment right there really, I think, similar to like basketball teams or baseball teams, football teams,
Yeah.
there's going to be a moment and path in their life is going to be the difference of them winning a championship and not, right? And I think in this moment for me, it's that moment for me right now. How can we divert a way to make this person happy, but continue to grow the team and be quick on our feet? Because honestly, as a leader, if you're not quick on your feet, you're not going to be able to grow. You know, you always got to adapt to whatever is going to amount to you. And I'm interested to hear your perspective on how all these different things that you have to juggle in a certain life, how have you learned to be quick on your feet? How have you been able to like avoid situations and not only with your family, but in all the businesses that you currently are?
Yeah, I certainly am not going to sit here and say that I have been successful in avoiding every situation, because if that, I would be lying, and I love to fail, is what I would say. Because I'm not scared to fail, because I know that I'm going to be okay. And I know that if this business doesn't work out, okay, I'll be okay. And the moment I was able to kind of come to grips with knowing that I'm going to be okay was the moment I found success. Because there are so many people running around out there who define success by what others want them to define success as. You want to be successful not based on what White wants, you want to do it based on what you want, right? So he may impart some wisdom and some really great things inside of you, but his definition of success should vary from yours and vary from mine. So I literally was, I am quick on my feet. I am quick to adapt. I am quick to problem solve, and that's what has provided me the strength and the ability to have multiple businesses and run different companies and people, because I thrive on adversity. I thrive on challenge. So when I was in my late 20s, I used to work for the ballpark at what was at that time U.S. Cellular Field, and I was
I love it that you don't say the real name. I love it.
Yeah, Comiskey? Yeah, right. I love Comiskey. Yes, I'm it's tattooed on my body. I'm a Sox fan to the end, brother. So, again, passion is baseball. So I'm going, wait, I have an opportunity to work at the ballpark and watch every game that's being played? Sweet, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I was the manager of the stadium club, so the bar and the restaurant. And, on rain delays, we got slammed because everybody would get out of there. They'd come up to the stadium club and the bar, and I watched the entire staff like panic and freak out. I was like on cloud nine. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, let's fucking go. Yeah. And I'll tell you that took some adjusting for the team, but when they saw, like, I was bussing tables. I'm running around getting drinks. I became one of them because I saw that it was, all hands on deck. I'm not any better than anybody else. Just because I'm leading, I'm going to lead by example. So that moment told me who I am as a person to go, I love that. I love the challenge. So when the grid goes down and you can't get wires in and nothing, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Go, no, it's really not. This is a good time. Let's have what we used to do back in the day. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's talk, like you guys did. And let's talk. Let's listen, not to respond, because that's what people do. They listen to respond.
Yeah.
Let's listen to hear. And I want to hear. Tell me something good. Tell me something about you. And you get those moments. But I have failed in so many aspects of decisions and opportunities, and it's okay, because every one of those has been a learning experience to impart that wisdom on somebody else, or share the story, or make sure I don't do it again. and really, I wouldn't be able to say that confidently and comfortably if everything was handed to me, if I didn't have to work at it, if and I'm not saying it comes without any kind of anxiety and pressure, but as I said, you weigh it out, and I'm a pretty introverted thinker when I'm extroverted and everything else, but like my thinking is crazy, where I just I'm quick to go, I'm going to be okay, this isn't that bad, okay, cool, let's move on. And it happens like split seconds, and that's just luck, I guess, genes, I don't know, but a lot of people have said, how do you just let it roll? So what's the worst thing to happen in your life? Put it in perspective. It's not that bad. Everybody's doom and gloom. Everybody, oh my God, this is the end. Is it really that bad? I mean, life is great, man. Life is good. You only get one shot at this game.
Right.
When this game is over, the game goes all back in the box, including you, and the box goes away. Game's over. I did I was speaking at a conference for some leaders that are business owners and different things, and I have no idea where I got this. I have no idea what I I was just talking. You ever say things and you go, I wish I could remember that because that was great, right? And I went, does anybody have that on recording? Now today's day, yes, it's awesome. But go to the cemetery or look at you see 1968 to 2010, and then there's a dash in between there. Like, we're living our dash. We're living our dash. And that dash can be as big as we want it to be, or sometimes it's short. And those that are short, they didn't have as much opportunities and times as we did. So what are you doing in your dash? And I've asked that question to the kids and they're paralyzed. That, Coach, that's too deep. Well, it's also real. Because when the game is over, they're going to put you and the entire game back in the box, and your dash is gone.
That's powerful.
Now you're a number.
There was a quote by Matthew McConaughey. He won I forgot what award he won, but he had a quote. I love it. He says, I'm always chasing myself 10 years ahead.
Yep.
But I'm okay with that, knowing that once that 10-year mark hits, I know I'm not going to hit it, and I'm always going to chase the 10-year version, and I'm never going to hit it, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Because if you're chasing something and you don't have nothing else to chase, what's the purpose of life?
That's right.
Right, like, and I love hearing situations like that because it really motivates me and it drives me to become the better version of myself, and not only for myself but the people around me. My question to you is, what's your measurement of success?
And I was going to ask you that question. So, for me, success, for me is knowing that you're able to do what you want, when you want, how you want, and you're in control of every aspect and comfortable with every aspect of what you do. If you can get up in a day and put your feet on the ground and be thankful for that ground you're walking on, and know that you're a gift, and know that you have something to give, and know that you are making a difference and an impact, and you can lay your head down at the pillow at the end of the day and reflect on the people you touched, that's success to me.
It's fucking powerful, man.
Success to me. I've been asked that question once or twice.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
Mine, we talked about this in one podcast we did recently.
Uh-huh.
My definition of success, or my measurement of success, is how many leaders you can create in your lifespan.
How many
leaders you can create in your lifespan? And I think it's important because I know I not only want to create leaders in my own family, I want my daughter, future kids, all to become leaders within their lifestyle. And for me, leaders, to me, is impacting people around you and creating a positive outlook on the entire world.
Love it.
So if you can go ahead and impact someone's life in a positive way, it doesn't derive through money, doesn't derive through anything material. It simply derives by giving a positive impact around the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And I think if you can do that, and you can create it not only with your family, your coworkers, and all your family, friends around you, I think that's so impactful, and I think that was now I've realized that's going to be my purpose and drive me continuously, because the money's great, the material is great, but it only takes you so far. And when you see other individuals succeed, exactly the partner that we're talking about right now, like when you see them have their first deal within your team, you're like,
so great.
Oh shit.
So great.
And how excited, oh, my CTC, oh. And it's almost more impactful than things that you're doing yourself, right? So I can only imagine the impact that it has when you see your kid hit their first home run.
Yes.
Like, because I know the feeling when I was in college and I hit my first bomb. I'm like, oh, my parents were in the crowd. I'm like, oh, yeah. You run, you're hanging with your teammates.
You can't
and
wait.
the first thing you do is you look in the crowd.
Yep.
And you see your parents. You're
Yep.
like, that was for you. You know,
Yep.
you see them watching.
Oh, yeah.
It, and it's super impactful. And so I can only imagine when you have your loved ones, the people you work with, your family, friends, have that moment with you being their leader, and they look at you like, I knew you had my back regardless.
Right.
That to me is the most impactful thing, and that for me is a true definition of success, because that brings fulfillment. You know, it's like the question I feel like every individual has to ask is, what is fulfillment to you? Because when you figure out what really truly fulfills you, that'll drive you, self-drive. You don't have to do it. That's your gas. That'll light your fire, and you'll be able to go ahead and accomplish anything that you want in
I
life.
simply say, find your why.
Yeah.
Find
Oh,
your
there's
why.
a quote that I just heard. Once you find your why, it'll unveil your how.
Absolutely.
Because once your why drives you to the point where how can you get to it, your why is going to drive you to how you're going to get to wherever you want to be.
Yep.
You know, and to your point, everything you've accomplished is for that one simple moment that you can replay in your mind, and you become successful simply because your why is strong enough. And it's more powerful than someone else's why.
Truly.
Unfortunately, that's just how it is, you know? It's beautiful to kind of think about, like, that's really how life is, and that's the key to success, really.
And people will also impart their why on you, and that's also the challenge as well. You know, it's that challenging, you know, comment of you can't do this, or that comment of, you know, oh, you're just driven by money. Wow, you missed it. Like, if that's how you see me, that's a sign of how you are. Because you're looking at me, seeing a dollar sign.
Wow.
I didn't do that. You did that.
Yeah.
That's how you see me. I don't see me that way because you brought it up. At no point in this conversation has any of us ever talked about the dollar, right? Think about how many people are driven by the almighty dollar. I got to make this. I got to earn this. Why? Is that how you're measured? Because if you're chasing that, okay, you need a different God, because that one's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Right? Don't chase that one. But
powerful.
as soon as somebody says something about, you know, oh, you're just doing this for money. Who said that? Like, I'm not wearing a gold chain that has a dollar sign.
Yeah.
Like, that's your perception of me. That means you're jealous because I'm doing okay and you'd love to be me, and that sounds like a you problem. Thanks for showing me who you really are. Next. That's quickly how you can just evaluate somebody by a quick conversation. I mean, that takes 8 seconds to go, oh, you're that guy. So hey, how are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
And it's you know, we have this incredible ability to pick who we want to hang with and surround ourselves with. You surround yourself with successful people like this guy, you're in. You put yourself in a room of successful people, it naturally happens because everybody's in that same mindset. You put yourself in a bunch of losers and a bunch of people who don't really have a good focus and a good balance, yeah, you're gonna get some misdirection.
Well, we said in the first podcast, why don't pigeons fly with eagles?
Because they can't. Right?
It's so true. Like I'm getting chills just listening to y'all talk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we're here for, is to give you chills tonight.
I do want to hear I don't think you've answered that question. What's your
what's your
measurement of
success?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because as I'm thinking of here, I'm like, shit, man. I want to be remembered, right?
Oh.
And success is different for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, is being able to do the things that I'm doing now. So my success is being able to. We're talking about senior kids, and my son's big into soccer, and you're right. Every time he does something, he looks on the side. You know. So, but my son is very competitive, but he's also very emotional.
Yeah.
And I've learned to kind of, you know, when he has bad games, I'm very hard. And I've learned it just builds up, and we have arguments. I'm like, listen, I realize this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know you're competitive, I know you're emotional, but me being the way I am and him being the way he is, he's too much like me, and I hate it. Because we clash, and it goes from a game where he's supposed to have fun to arguing to like it's just bad.
Yeah.
And I realized that I don't want to make mistakes where my son hates
Right.
playing or hates doing
Yeah.
that because I'm there and I'm criticizing. Hey, do this, do that, you know. But it's my competitive and my way of being that drives that conversation,
Right.
But to answer your question, I think I want to be remembered, you know,
Nice.
and I think that, you know, they say that you're remembered by one generation, right? So if I die tomorrow, he'll remember me, and
Sure.
the people that I've worked with will remember
Sure.
me. But when they pass away,
Yes.
would I then still be
Yes.
remembered?
Right. Like his children should remember you.
And that's really
yes.
what I want to be, more than one generation remembered. And if
That's
I can
awesome.
do enough by building leaders,
That's
by
awesome.
I don't mind being the kingmaker,
Right.
you know, anymore. Like I don't need to be. I was at his position
Yep.
where I was top producer, top 250, all those recognitions, all those accolades.
Yep.
I've
Can't
lived
spend
it.
them.
It was great.
Yeah,
Don't get me
right.
wrong. It's good bragging rights,
Yeah.
you know, doing all that, being on the newspapers and all that kind of,
Yeah.
you know, our top whatever, you know. It was great. It drove me to be, because I'm competitive, drove me to be the best. It doesn't drive me anymore.
No.
It doesn't. Now we're talking about today, I'm like, you know, you get a contract, get it clear to close, that excites you.
Yeah.
Me, I get a recruit, that excites me.
Right. Different
Now it's my
perspective.
job. Right. My job is to build as many people as I can. I think we happen to work for the best company,
Yeah.
worst mortgage company in the industry.
Yeah.
We have two great owners that will bend over backwards for their sales team.
Yeah.
Or for anyone in their team members.
Yeah.
And I need to give that to everyone in the industry.
That's awesome.
Like, listen, join us. I know, and this is what I hate about our industry, that is money driven.
It is.
Most loan officers, I've lost a couple loan officers, not because we weren't doing the right things, because they didn't do the right things and they need money.
Right.
So they're taking guarantees, they're taking, and I would say 90% of the loan officers out there is that what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're not looking for the right leadership, the right structure, the right mentorship, the right coaching. They're looking the dollar sign.
Fast money.
They want the money because they didn't prepare themselves,
Right.
and now they have to pay their bills. They have to figure it out. That's probably 90% of the people
Yeah.
that I've talked to as far as originators when I'm recruiting.
Yep.
Give me a dollar sign and I will come. That's the wrong reason. Wrong people, because guess what? When someone else is paying more, they're gonna. That's
all it's going to be. Right. They're going to move on
So
to the
am I
next
going to
one.
be the person that just buy people? I don't want to be that person
Right.
that buys people. We do a great transition package, but it's driven for your success in the future,
Right.
not today. You know, there's a saying: you can teach somebody how to. I can give you a fish,
Right.
Or I can teach you how to fish,
Right.
Right. So, am I going to give you enough so you not to fail? Absolutely,
Right.
But am I just going to give you so you can sit at home and not? No, I'm going to make sure that your success is built on what we're able to do for you. And it's hard to kind of explain that to originators because everyone that I get recruited all the time.
Yeah.
And they all tell me the same thing.
Right.
You know, but it's hard to tell loan officers that, hey, I'm different.
Right.
I'm not like everyone else is calling you, which recruiting is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. I can get a deal, I can talk to a referral partner and get them to convince them that I am the right choice as far as a lender to close loans.
Right.
But to convince an originator that we are the right company, it's
Totally
that much
different.
because it's been tarnished by everyone else doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why when I look at the NMLS and I see people jumping from, I've been to two companies, Drew.
Yeah.
Wells
Wells.
Fargo and Neighborhood Loans. And I plan to retire here as long as these guys have me. I plan to retire here. They're great, and it stems from their leadership.
Right.
You know, I told him I want shit to go south. I told Justin, listen, bro, I want this shit to last another 6-7 months. I just had a meeting a couple weeks ago.
Right.
We had our investors come in. Warehouse lines are going to be cut. It's gonna. If things don't change soon, there's a lot of people in the industry. I'm not going to mention the name,
Right.
but I just read it a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
There was a big lender that just refinanced their $500 million debt that they had.
Whew.
They bought it another year. If I was in that company,
Bye-bye.
what do you think I'd be doing right now?
Yep. I'm
like,
looking
listen,
for
bro,
help.
the end of the road is coming.
Yeah, no, the
let
writing-
me figure that out.
the
now.
writing's on the bathroom
writing's
wall.
on the
Yeah.
wall.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I called an originator at that company, and I'm like, bro, you have to consider your options,
Right.
because if things don't change, things are going to change. So I'd rather get in front of the problem than get railed.
Chasing it.
Right. You said a perfect quote. We had a podcast here. When you have a problem, run to it.
Right on.
And you quote about the tornado or the storm, like run
Yes.
through the storm.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to get out sooner than everybody else.
Amen.
And be able to then start ahead of everybody else. Because guess what? Everyone else, I told him today, let's just say right now, the grid gets down, no one has to fund for 6 months.
Yep.
6 months. No one makes a dime for 6 months. I know he's going to be okay.
Yep.
I'm going to be okay. I would love that because 95% of the industry will be out.
Well, we saw it in 2005, right? Like it cleaned out a whole bunch of fake, I'll call it, people. People that like they left the business, they left the industry, and they went totally somewhere else. Why? Because they weren't really the industry people. They were doing it because the money was great. It was, they were shooting fish in a barrel. It's, refis were easy to do, and everybody was doing them, and they were killing it. And they had no problem with the 80-20. Oh, well, okay, you can't afford it, but here it is. Here's the 80-20.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandma, good luck. Now to my point, I couldn't put my head on my pillow.
Yeah.
But everybody was doing it. And then when that crushed, they went, oh, I made $600,000 last year. Yeah, but where's it today? Because you are working at Walmart. What did you do?
Yeah.
And I've asked that question to somebody, and I cannot get an answer that is valid to tell me, oh, that's right, you bought a boat, you bought a house, you had 3 girlfriends. Okay, I understand now. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
But I'm also okay, and you're not.
Right.
So, yeah, to your point, like, those are the people that are going to succeed and survive. There are survivors. And, I'm sitting talking to 2 of them. Not everybody's a survivor. And that's what you want to be as a survivor, knowing that when things go sideways, you're going to be okay because you've developed tools.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be leaders in every industry that you're in, and I think that to circle back to your point, I think about that your answer to my question every single day. It's a dark thought, but I always think about if I die right now, who would attend my funeral and who would think of me in a positive way? And I'm curious to hear if you guys think the same thing because
You know what I got from right now? I used to wanted to be cremated at one point, and then, I love fishing.
Yeah.
I go to Mexico every year, he knows, and I wanted part of my ashes here and there.
Yeah.
Things that but now I read something, Neil Grace that he's a real smart scientist, and he basically said, I heard in the podcast that he wants to be buried because he wants to give back to the earth that provided him. And when you are buried, you get obviously the earth and the insects, everything else just you're giving back to the earth that you had.
It's the utmost giving
back. So now
back.
I'm like, now I want to be. So the one thing I got about today right now, I can tell you right now, I want my tombstone to be from here to probably the wall and just a dash.
A long dash. Amen. And actually, you can put on that dash little milestones. Top producer. Great dad. Put little milestones on that bad boy. Nobody can stop you. It's your dash.
For sure.
Right? Live it.
Well, I do appreciate everything that you've been saying. I always finish this podcast, every single podcast, with where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Where do you envision yourself as a dad, business owner, all the things you do? Where do you see yourself within the next 10 years?
Yeah, I love that. I love goal setting. That obviously is what drives all of us. I set short goals. I set long goals. So, as I said to you when we were kind of off air before we did this, my goal for Inspired Title is to be able to fund a construction of a house through Habitat for Humanity, and have that be something that I not only lead as far as the construction goes because of that, just my joy to do that, but also on the financial side of it, to be able to provide here in the U.S. and do it for a family in need. And that day, the next day, is when I will hang up the shoes, and I'll be, hopefully a consultant watching the kids, run this thing and, thrive and take it to the levels that they want. And if they change it, I'm going to beat their ass because the blueprint is there.
Yeah.
But no, I want them to be also up to speed enough that like right now I'm comfortable that I can step away from things for a period of time and know that it's gonna do okay because it doesn't need my input every day. So I'm building that. So that 10-year goal is that I'm going to build this house. I'm going to retire from this and get out on the golf course and live that dream. I love going to Jamaica, and I will probably find myself some strong time out there, and
That's awesome.
maybe I'll have a place there as well. So
That's
that would
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I forgot I just heard something recently. Your business is more valuable the less you are needed in your business. So
Yeah.
the less your face needs to be in your business, the more valuable your
Amen.
business is. Because you
Yep.
don't know who the owner of Coca-Cola is really. Like, you don't know you really
Yeah.
don't know who are these people. So
Yeah.
that's very powerful to hear that. So
True.
again, you never know. You probably would never know. We're in a mortgage. He's in title. This is nothing about title and mortgages. So I appreciate your time. Like, honestly, my expectation for this podcast, truthfully, would be vulnerable. I didn't know what to expect about this podcast, and it was absolutely amazing. I really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate your
I
time. It's
appreciate you
very
doing it.
valuable for everybody watching.
Yeah.
Hope you guys got some value out of this. I
Absolutely.
really do appreciate everyone's time. As always, if you have not liked, subscribe, please turn on your post notifications and enjoy this episode. Indulge in everything. A lot of tips, but more importantly, thank you so much for both you guys' time today. I really do appreciate
Thank
it.
you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.